I would like to just introduce myself a little bit before kind of launching into this topic, which is, I can hardly sit still because it's one of my favorite things in the world to talk about movement. Um, and But I wanted to share, before I do that, I wanted to share some of what I'm working on in my own life these days. I am learning to become Kate BMW Jobe. That means that I'm having dreams about BMW cars, which kind of had been off my radar. I don't know much about cars. And so when I worked on that, I really had to take it into my body. What is a BMW to me? I haven't even ridden in one, I don't think, maybe, but not for a long time anyway. And it's this sense of physicality and solidity, and and also moving out into the world with that. So that's what I'm working on these days. And so this opportunity to do this today is really meaningful for me. I thought I'd share my more personal experiences, like what am I working on? Because I feel like one thing that we share, if nothing else, is movement. And that sense that having a body and moving in a body really does, even across cultures, to more of a degree than less, gives us a shared experience of the universe, I think. Because when I think about movement, I think about the Big Bang, and that everything started from there. And without that, life doesn't exist. Without movement, without blood flowing, without stuff happening in your cells, and without movement, interaction doesn't happen, communication doesn't happen. And so it's so basic. And so it's so easy to forget too. And yeah, I think that's my big message. How my life study in movement started when I was a dancer, and has continued into process work, and through Laban movement analysis, which I would like to focus on in a really specific way tonight. Yeah, I think that's me. And just tell you a little bit about what I would like to do tonight, what I have planned. And then get down into some theory and what do you think about moving? I would like to move with you tonight. Good. So what we would do in this class is we're going to look at movement and process work and how they go together. If you don't know anything about process work, could you just put it in the chat, and so that I have an idea of how much that I would talk about process work? If you know a little bit, that's good. You don't need to know much. I will, and so I want to talk about what is movement analysis, and specifically the Laban-Bartenieff movement system, which is a system that I studied as a dancer 1,000,000 years ago, but I use it every single day. It is robust and a wonderful system to name and understand movement. We will be moving. So part of the learning and part of the theory of working and learning about movement is that it requires that you embody movement. And we'll talk about more about that later. And then I would like to work with someone and do an exercise. Okay. So, okay. So just a couple of things that I just started to say this, that learning about movement is, it really requires a physicality and at the same time, a kind of a way to find a way to process it. There are ways to work with movement, and we move all the time, where we don't have to think about it. But as we're learning about it, we need to go back and forth between these different modes. It uses different parts of your brain. So if you find yourself kind of tired, part of it might be that you're just using this back and forth between moving, which takes one part, and thinking, which takes another. If that happens to you, just relax. Just take a moment and relax. So if you feel there's too much information and I'm going into theory too much, then just try out the movement. I think that's the fun part. So my goal is that you have something to take home with you that you can use, and that we have some fun, and that we focus on two common problems that I find when people are working with movement. One is, how do you answer the question, what do I do with a movement? When I'm working with a person, or I see something that is happening between two people, what do I do? That I hope we'll find some things that will help you with that. And the other is, how do we recognize and help people with incomplete movement and movement that changes suddenly, that happens when a person gets to the limit of what they know and what they feel comfortable doing. And as helping professionals or people who are working with or want to know more about movement, there's that moment of coming to, I don't know what comes next. I don't know how to do this. And so if we could answer some of those questions or help resource those moments, that would make me really happy. So, so far so good. Yeah, okay. I can't see many of you, so you have to put it in the chat if you have a question. So I want to talk a little bit about how we use movement in process work. So one of the ways that we notice, so the basic idea of process work is that we want to follow the person's process. And we see that the person's process is partly an experience that they identify with. I am Kate Jobe. I live in Switzerland, and I teach process work, and I have a private practice here. And then the other part of that process is something that I don't identify with, and it belongs not to me. So I am a BMW, not yet. I'm working on that. I am solid in this kind of very embodied ways. Sometimes I feel that, but it's not what I would say about myself is the first thing or the second thing. So finding these experiences that we don't identify with often can happen through movement, because what you don't identify with takes over the body. It takes over the body in movement. It takes over the body in symptoms, for instance, and many other ways that I won't go into for the moment. So when we see a double message, like when I say, I'm not a BMW, I don't have any power, I don't move out there, then my body says one thing and my everyday self says another. So these double signals, two messages at once, or that the body is expressing something that I don't quite agree with, like Like sometimes somebody will say, yeah, I'm really tired. And there's something really strong about their body and their physicality. I'm just going to move down so you can see my body more because I move a lot. So these double signals, if we work with them, then we learn more about the person's wholeness through this experience that they don't identify with. And we'll be looking more at that. So another thing that we work with is what we call process mind states. And a process mind state is a means to go beyond this identity and to connect it, to connect ourselves to something something, how do you say, something bigger, something like a unity that that takes us out of the duality. Am I a BMW? Am I not a BMW? That whole thing, if I can move and find an essence experience, then I can find access to something that connects me back to the universe and back to something that is bigger than me. And I look at the whole problem of BMW and not BMW from a completely different point of view. And I think, it doesn't matter. It's not about becoming something, it's about connecting to myself. So those process mind states and experiences are they're expressing something that we don't have words for, which is what movement is so good at. It's so good at bringing up experience that we don't know what it is yet. It's those little feelings that are happening in the background. And then another thing that we do with movement is we play out figures in our dreams or fantasies about other people or situations where there's a force, like in a company, sometimes people feel the force of the boss onto them like a pressure. And those we call ghost roles. And they represent a part of the field that feels very real and palpable to some people and need to be embodied in order to be processed. The essence I kind of talked about already with the process mind, and stepping into transpersonal experiences, the things that really connect us not a-causally as people.